Thought we'd put together a quick impromptu video. We've had a lot of questions come up about the travel and hospitality market and what's been going on there. We've got Ike Umar here, president of Axe Lending. I'm going to ask him a couple of questions and see what get his take on the current stock or current market temperature around travel and hospitality. So.
We got HR here.
We got HR Rivas here. He's going to be throwing some questions out as well. And so just to kind of jump into it, we've been noticing, what do you think about travel and hospitality stocks? We've noticed that many of these stocks are dropping. Is now the time to buy?
Well, I think I have at least a lot of public officials, my friends who are like judges and a couple in the high posts. They've been actually calling me and asking me, what do I think about all these airline industry, cruise, and hotels. Hotels haven't gone that bad, but what I think about, because I think it's down big time.
Right.
But in a Wall Street language, they call these things value trap. So personally, I mean, and this is a lot of is opinion, okay, from me. And I hope I'm wrong, okay? But for the sake of the country. But these are value trap. So I probably would not go for it, those stocks, especially for the companies who drop like 60 to 70, 80% of the value of their stocks. I would not really jump on those stocks that fast. Because, and don't take my word for it, I want you to do your research, because there's a reason. There's a reason these companies are dropping so fast. I even came across a bunch of videos on YouTube, and there's a lot of like even people I kind of know personally, like encouraging people to go buy stocks in these like airline and cruises, because they're seeing like a long-term return. Like let's say if the stock was like $100 and it's at $20 right now, they're saying, okay, these companies are maybe too big to fail, so they're going to go back. But I mean, I did some research on it and I looked at it. I think the U.S. airlines kind of dropped 68%, and all the cruises are dropped over 77% on the value. And I mean, one of the main reasons is the pandemic, coronavirus situation. And basically, one of the main reasons they are basically dropped this low, because they weren't prepared. Their balance sheets looked okay, but they were not strong enough to handle something like that. See, it's a different story. Like us in the real estate, we see the recession was due, so we were already making plans about it, right? But these companies, a lot of these companies didn't see this one was coming. So their balance sheets were good maybe in December and January, but not strong enough to handle it. You understand?
Right.
So I think it's a lot of artificial way to, bump up the stock. But if the company has billions of dollars, I mean, they can't even survive for 3 months with low cash. That's something I would not be very comfortable with, to be buying into. I mean, the sheets were decent, but not strong. I kind of looked at some of the previous sheets from December, and maybe the sheets look decent, but not strong enough to survive something like that.
So do you have a feeling that many of these companies are not going to make it out of this situation, or
well,
because we're just talking about too big to fail, but do you feel like some of these companies will not make?
Well, I think there's nothing is. Maybe we can share that too. I think there's nothing except God is too big to fail.
Right.
Everything could fail. But see, the reason they are in this problem right now because they have no cash in hand. So basically, what they're looking for money right now for their survival, right? And having a survival is not going to be. So there's two ways they can get their hands on cash, and one is to take a lot of massive debt, take a lot more money from the banks and everything. And you know what light just went out? Okay. So basically, so to avoid the bankruptcy, because they need cash. Because if they don't get cash right now, they can go get the bankruptcy. So the one thing is to get debt. And right now, lenders are very tight, even because our cost of the money went high too. So basically, that they're not getting lending in their favor terms. Normally they would get in any day. So what they're selling to the banks is their future earnings. They're saying, okay, we are too big, we've done this, and we're gonna be okay. We're gonna survive this. So we're gonna create that kind of cash. So you should give us this kind of money. The second option they can raise money is sell more stocks. So, and when the company goes to that route, start selling more stocks, they start diluting the stocks of the stockholders right now. So basically, which is fine. I mean, I'm in a favor of company not going bankrupt anyway. You know what I mean? They got to do whatever they have to do to survive. But yeah, as a shareholder, you have to look at it on the other side too. Okay, if I'm investing on this company, okay, is that going to be enough for them to keep dilute their stocks so they can keep selling and bringing money? They more than likely have to take a lot more debt on top of it. So when you take in a lot of that, even your revenue goes back to the same what it was in December in 3-4 years, your profit and the stock value is still not going to be the same. You understand what I'm trying to get? It's going to be a lot different.
Would you project that these companies bounce back to their original value, or will they increase or decrease?
I mean, I don't see they're going back to their original stock value at least 5 years.
Really?
I mean, because you have to understand, let's say they sell a lot more stock, so they dilute these airlines and their cruise, they're diluting the stocks so they can have money, right? And now they're taking a lot of debt. So you have to understand, they're not getting a favorable term, so they're paying probably twice as much interest probably they're going to pay now what they would have paid before. So you have to add all these expenses. So tell me, if they're adding more expenses in their balance sheets, how the stock will be strong again? Are you getting what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if this company did, I'm just throwing out a number, I really don't know how much revenue that some of these companies are doing, but let's say they did $30 billion in revenue and they created $5 billion in profit. Now they still do 30 billion, they get to the revenue, they're going to create probably 3 billion in profit. Are you getting?
Yeah.
Even the revenue is going to be same, but the margin is going to be different because they have to pay that debt, the interest and everything. And plus they diluted their stock so much, so the value is going to go down anyway.
So you wouldn't recommend buying right now into this industry, even though you could be looking at it with a long-term view?
Let's say in 5-6 years, you're buying it about 60 cents, 67% they're down right now, right? I think there's a lot better options out there than to dumping your money in the airline and that industry. Because you have to understand, I think after this whole pandemic is over, I see the travel will be a little less, for business purpose at least, as it was before, because people are going to start depending more on technology. So when you don't have to go spend 3 days in a travel, you can get have a video calls and whatever, Zoom and Google Face call, whatever it is. You're not gonna basically travel. You're not gonna waste 3 days in a travel or 2 days and to just meet same people when you can get it done. Because you have to understand, I understand a lot of this technology was existed already, but we were so old school on a lot of things. No, we have to meet a person by face to face to negotiate. I'm very old school too. I don't like to do deals over the phone. I like to meet face to face. But right now we're getting forced into it. So we don't have a choice. So by the time this pandemic is kind of start going away, we already did a new adapt. You know, that's the thing about living things. We adapt things. You know, that's evolution. So if we adapt to do our deals, a lot of them over the phone and everything, what do you think?
Yeah.
So I see things a lot different. I do not have very good high hopes for cruise industry. Hotels might be okay, airline will, but cruise would not, I think, go back the same way.
Could it be a longer projection for the cruise lines
I mean,
than say airlines?
so, you know, we have a recession every like 7 to 10 years, right?
Right.
And there's no, this is the recession, like everything stopped suddenly, right? So we don't have any data
Right.
from previous recession on this pandemic recession to see like what's going to happen from the history, right?
Right.
So probably if we ever have this kind of situation again, we will have this recession and this situation
Fall
to
back on.
fall back on to learn from. I was reading about Delta because I'm from Atlanta, so I kind of keep up with Delta. So Delta Airline is going to go smaller. So Delta is not going to be the biggest, one of the biggest airlines. They're going small. That's the CEO said. So that tells you what that means. I mean, even you don't have to take my opinion for it. Look it up. Warren Buffett. You know, he have his investors yearly meeting, and he sold his all of his stocks, all of his positions, on all 4 major airlines.
Oh,
From US to Delta, he sold all of it. And he said, I hope I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but for the good of the country, but he sold it all. So if the best investor in the world is doing that, I think that's something we need to look into, why he's doing that, right? Tell me, how many other people do you know who do you think is better than Warren Buffett
Right.
on stock?
right.
So he does not think hotels, airline industry, and cruise industry have a very good future. So I think people just have to do their own little research. Is there anything else you guys want?
Those are the questions I had. I just really wanted to know what you thought about this, about the travel industry in general, and whether that's going to.
Yeah. So I mean, if you guys want my opinion, I think if it's my money, I have not bought even a $1 worth of stock. I'm saving most of the money. I have some control over it, and I think I'm going to go on the real estate side more because I'm seeing too much opportunity, you know.
Right.
So I think it's going to. If you want my opinion, it's no.
Okay.
I would not buy that stuff. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is just a
Thanks.
short video we wanted to do, so we can give you a little bit of our research and what we think, how things gonna go.
Give some feedback if you have any questions, or if you have any comments, please go ahead and list those below, and we'll try to get back to you.
And this is actually totally different topic we normally don't deal with.
Right. Yeah.
But since we deal with a lot of real estate and the market, a lot of people are asking us like what we think about buying stocks right now, especially the companies when the stocks are very low. And just remember, the only reason their stocks are low because they need more money.
Right.
To get more money, they have to dilute more stocks, take debts, so they can avoid the bankruptcy.
Right.
So, would you invest if a company's large of bankruptcy? There's a reason the value is down,
Right.
big time. Because you go on value in the future earnings.
Right.
So that's how we do that. All right, we'll talk to you.